Welcome. In this lesson, we're going to learn to find a sequence of transformations from one image to another and to another. In other words, we're going to say, okay, how can we go from image 1 to image 2, and then from image 2 to image 3? Now, the first thing I want to emphasize is there are actually multiple ways sometimes to do these type of transformations. So it's very important that you look at the possible options. And there'll only ever be one that works in the possible options, but there could be other options that are not listed. So you might think of one that works that isn't shown. So the first thing I want to do is just try to figure out how to go from image 1 to image 2. And I'm going to look down the first thing that it says. So in other words, is it a translation or a translation, or is it a rotation or a rotation? In other words, it's either one of the first two or one of the third or fourth ones. Well, to go from here, definitely the orientation is kept the same. It's just been slid up and over a little bit. So that's a translation. So that narrows it down to one of the first two. I can negate the third and fourth. The second one now, if you notice, if I tried to reflect that, it wouldn't line up. But if I rotated it about this point here, it would work. And so rotation is the second one, which means it's that first option. So basically, this is just deductive work, working your way through it. To go from 1 all the way up to 2, well, sliding it up wouldn't work. Rotating it wouldn't work. But I could reflect it across this line right here. If I reflected it, I could get up there. So I notice it's going to be either the first or the third choice, but not the second or the fourth. The next thing is I got to get it to here. And again, translating it to there from 2 to 3 doesn't work. And reflecting it doesn't work. So rotation about this point right here would work. We could rotate it right down onto 3. So I have a reflection and then a rotation. And every single one is going to be simply doing this. How did I get from 1 to 2? Well, that's easily seen as a reflection. So it's either the first or the third one. And then to go from 2 to 3, that's just being slid up there because it's the same orientation, up and over. That's a translation. So I did a reflection and a translation. And none of these should get any more difficult than that, even no matter, see, I jumped to the 90s. And again, it looks kind of difficult, but again, the process is the same. How do I get from 1 to 2? But if I look closely, the orientation is exactly the same. I've slid it down. I've just slid down and over. That's a translation. So it's either going to be the second or the third. And then to go from 2 to 3, that's a reflection across this line. There's some symmetry, right? If I was to put a line in there right through here like this, there's symmetry there, which is a reflection. So I translated it down to here, and then I reflected it over that line. Translation and a reflection. Okay, going from 1 to 2, again, that might be kind of hard to see, but that's going to be also a reflection. It's a reflection across this diagonal line like this. So I'm ignoring image 3 for a minute. It's just a reflection over that line. And then after I reflect it, image 2 is just slid this way to get to image 3. So I reflected it and then slid it. A reflection and then a translation, this one right here. Okay, very skinny ones. This might be kind of hard to realize what's going on, but I can easily see that I've slid up and over to go from image 1 to 2. I've slid it up and over. So that's a translation, which is either the first or the third one. And then I've rotated it about this point here. That's rotated to there. So it's a translation and then a rotation, or that one right there. Again, hopefully, as you do more of these, they will become easier to do. If you have questions, please do bring them up in class.